Persona 1 has two storylines, the Sebek route and the Snow Queen route. Generally, the backstory for the two routes is that Mikagecho, the town that the protag lives in, is one day overrun by demons, and apparently a company called Sebek is behind it. The company's president Takahisa Kandori to be precise. After learning this, the game splits into two parts, the Sebek route and the Snow Queen route, both with their respective bad endings. In Sebek's route, the protagonist is joined by Maki Sonomura, a friend of his who previously was very ill and bedridden before the incident. During the course of the story, it is revealed that the Maki they've traveled with was an idealized version of her. You see, Kandori created the Deva system, which has the power to alter reality, to become God. This system, however, synced with Maki's mind, creating her idealized version of Mikagecho. Maki's personality also split into Mai and Aki, with Aki representing Maki's destructive side. During the game, the protagonist confronts Mai because they need her to enter the Deva Yuga, the castle that Kandori created with the Chaos Mirror by uniting Aki and Mai. During the confrontation, Mai asks what the protagonist's reason for living is. If you choose you don't know, you're locked in the bad ending. After defeating Kandori, the world returns to normal. But Maki, who in the good ending will be given a new life with a healthy body, is instead dragged by Mai into the ideal world, where she is trapped forever. The ending is kinda like the Maruki bad ending, but instead of everyone being trapped in an ideal world for them, it's just Maki, whose physical body presumably stays a vegetable for the rest of her life. So the town is safe and everyone gets to live except for the protagonist, who has to deal with the fact that his friend is now forever trapped in hell, because he replied to the question, what's your reason for living, with, I don't know. As I said, there are multiple routes in Persona, the other one being the Snow Queen route. Instead of going after Sebek, the protag investigates a rumor at his high school, which goes something like this. There's a performance called the Snow Queen and it features a mask, which allegedly killed everyone who wore it. After the protagonist finds the mask, Sayako Takami, who is his homeroom teacher and also starred as the Snow Queen in a play during her high school years, takes it from him, reminiscing about old times. And then, to prove to everyone that the mask is not in fact cursed, she puts it on, only to be possessed by it. The spirit possessing her is actually Tomomi Fujimori, who was a classmate with Saiko, who also wore the mask but got disfigured by it, and then she haunted the mask until Saiko put it on to possess her. Anyways, the possessed Saiko, now the Snow Queen, freezes the entire town over, while also creating 3 towers, as well as turning the school into her castle. Philemon, the one that gave them the power of Persona when they performed a ritual called Persona, advises the protag that, utilizing the demon mirror, they can save Sayako by removing the curse from the mask. The demon mirror, however, was smashed by the Snow Queen, and the shards are scattered throughout the towers, so the protag has to go and collect them. The bad ending here happens if you collect less than 8 shards. Normally, in the good ending, the mirror separates Sayako from Tomomi, who turns out to be possessed by her persona, the Night Queen Asura, who wants to bring about eternal night. And after beating her up, the world is unfrozen and everything is fine. But if you don't collect the 8 shards, the mirror doesn't work and Sayako remains frozen. The Night Queen takes control and brings about eternal night, freezing everything and everyone solid. This is, aside from Persona 3's bad ending, the only one where the world is actually destroyed. Like really destroyed. The protagonist is stuck in a frozen hell filled with eternal night. If they don't get frozen by the Night Queen, they will just starve to death, due to all the food sources being frozen solid. The Earth as a whole will enter a new permanent ice age and all life will be wiped out. And it's all because they failed to find one more glass shard for a mirror. This is a mobile game from Atlas, which centers around the protag's party being sent to a parallel dimension in between the end of the Sebek boss and the beginning of the Maki dungeon. The protag and the party are in a parallel world where they need to collect 9 orbs to escape a tower, since at the very top of the tower is a space transition device. During their journey through the tower, they meet a girl named Maria, through which they learn that a demon called the Destroyer is locked in this very tower. After reaching the top of the tower, it is revealed that Maria is this demon. This leads to the Destroyer getting the shit kicked out of him, and the Persona 1 gang returns to the normal world. Early Persona is crazy, right? In Persona 2 Innocent Sin, you get to fight the Austrian painter. This game's plot is insane, and I'm not gonna lie, I hope I get it right. There is this prophecy that says that if Maya dies, the world will end. And there she is. This is Maya. Hi, Maya. So yeah, Maya is dead, killed by Nyarlathotep, who was masquerading as you-know-who, while also starting the rumor that you-know-who survived World War II, and that he collected the Holy Lands that killed Jesus Christ. And he uses it to kill Maya to end the world. But don't worry, with the help of Philemon, he makes a deal with Tactica that if that... Okay, listen, this is kind of weird. Okay, Timeline A is the one we've just been in, okay? The one where, you know, Maya is dead, the world gets destroyed by the painter, and Philemon is like, yo guys, I can send you to Timeline B, where Maya is still alive, but you will lose all of your memories. And they take the deal, and everyone forgets, you know, everything. Everyone but Tatsuya. From Timeline A, there's also Tatsuya here, but it doesn't matter. So, this is the end of Persona 2 Innocent Sin. There is no bad ending. This is kind of the bad ending. And it follows up directly with Eternal Sin. Tatsuya does not honor his agreement to forget, and he continues to remember the old timeline, which causes a lot of bad things to happen, but in the end, Nyarlathotep is back, and he wants to force the Persona 2 Innocent Sin crew to also remember their memories, so that this timeline is also destroyed. But this time, they beat the shit out of him. And so that this doesn't happen again, Tatsuya agrees to be sent back into the old timeline. Okay? And the new timeline then just keeps existing. And that's it. I don't know, man. The Persona 2 community is gonna kill me either way, so... I showed this to my friend and you know he said this is just JoJo Part 6. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. So now that the 12 Arcanas are united and Ryoji has been born, he will become the Appriser. His role being to lead Nyx towards the Earth and initiating the Fall, but before we can explain what the Fall is, let us first examine what Nyx is. This information stems from the Persona 3 Club. So, what is Nyx? Nyx is actually a celestial-sized planet eater, and during prehistoric times, Nyx crashed into the Earth, where her psyche and her body were separated. Her body became the moon and her psyche remained on Earth. However, her psyche clashed with the already existing psyche of the early life forms on planet Earth. Thus, life evolved in a way that would seal her away, creating shadows and the collective unconscious in the process. This means that the fall entails Nyx's psyche and her body rejoining. That would mean that her psyche, that still is manifested in the collective unconscious of every being on Earth, will be forcibly ripped out. Then, as her psyche begins to rise up to rejoin with her body, which is the moon now, the moon will follow and begin descending upon the Earth, which we can actually see happen in Persona 3, where during the final battle, humans start turning into shadows, and the moon starts descending as her avatar's body is sucked up into her celestial body. In the true ending, the fall is only prevented by the protagonist following her avatar into her core and surrendering his life force to seal her away. But the purpose of his seal is not actually to keep her away, but instead to keep humanity's wish for death, which has been given form in Erebus, from reaching her. Now that we know what Nyx is, we can go back to where we started. Ryoji is now remembering his role in bringing forth Nyx's arrival, but due to him being stuck inside the protagonist for a decade, he feels sorry for Cease and he wishes to offer them an easy way out. Ryoji explains to Cease who he really is. He tells them about the fall, about his role, and about how Nyx is a being that words in the human language cannot describe. Basically meaning that she's undefeatable. Going into battle against her will lead to an incredibly crushing defeat, with the days leading up to the battle being spent in constant anxiety. But due to him forming a human form, he wants to spare them from even facing Nyx in the first place, and save them from spending the rest of their lives in constant fear. He offers them to let them kill him. This will not save them from the fall, but only delay it. However, it will erase Tartarus, the Apathy Syndrome, the Dark Hour, and all of their memories. That would grant them the ability to look forward towards the future with optimism, and when the fall happens, they wouldn't even realize. Everything will just disappear from one second to the next. Ryoji tells them to consider this, and then he leaves. And now they have until the 31st of December to make a choice. And the days after this reveal, the Cease team actually sinks into a depression, which we've never seen in the game before. They don't know how to cope with the fact that everything they did was for nothing, and they believe that they cannot change fate and that their lives are over basically. But on the days leading up to the promised day, they start realizing that even if Nyx cannot be defeated, they would rather die trying in battle than taking it all and running away. Because the After everything they've been through, running away will truly undo everything they did. Now it's the 31st of December and Ryoji arrives. He asks them if everyone has come to make a choice, and then he goes up to the protagonist's room. They all have one final talk where they unanimously agree to face Nyx, and Makoto goes up to his room to talk with Ryoji. During their conversation, they are alone, which is what Ryoji also points out, and so he gives him his choice: face Nyx or give up. When Makoto first declines and tells him that he wants to fight Nyx, Ryoji transforms into his true form. Should Makoto now accept the offer, Ryoji thanks him, expressing his happiness over meeting him, and Makoto readies his evoker, summons his persona, and kills Ryoji. The moment Ryoji dies, everything flashes to white, and the memories of everything are wiped away. The time then skips to one day before graduation day. Makoto, Junpei, and Yukari are walking to school together. They've completely forgotten everything that happened the past year. They don't remember the time they spent together, or even meeting Koromaru, or Ken, or Akihiko. They don't remember Shinjiro, Mitsuru, or Aigis. And she remembers everything. But we're gonna talk about that later. The next day is graduation day. During her speech, Mitsuru mentions that her father has passed away from illness, without any signs of knowing that this isn't true. The graduation day ends and the trio decides to meet up for karaoke. During karaoke, everything seems great and happy and wonderful, and then, yeah. Now, we can only speculate what happens, but I think it's pretty clear. In that moment that everything turns to grey, the fall happens. Nyx's psyche and her body conjoin and all life on Earth is wiped out. Remember when I said that Aigis remembers everything? Yeah, she's not a living organism, she's a robot, and her memory is unaffected. She remembers the times they spent together, she remembers Ryoji, Nyx, and the protagonist's betrayal. But she decides not to interfere because the dark hour is already gone. The ability to summon their personas and their chance to fight is gone with it. And thus the only thing she can do is spend her time alone. She can't talk to anyone because they don't remember her. So all she can do is wait. Alone. What makes all of this worse is that over the course of the story, she kind of became human, at least in heart. Which means she probably can feel the fear. Let's speculate a bit and make everything worse. When the fall happens, it's implied that everyone loses consciousness and turns into the lost. However, this doesn't apply to Aigis, since she's a machine. So she wanders throughout Tetsumi Port Island, all alone, and all the people that she met, all the friends that she made, are dead. All she can do is wander the wasteland until her body breaks down, with her memories persisting, constantly reminding her that if they had chosen to fight, they might have been able to save everything. However, in the true ending, Makoto tells Ryoji that he and Cease have decided on fighting Nyx no matter what. So, on the promised day of Nyx's arrival, they all travel to the top of Tartarus to face her. After a brutal boss fight, Nyx still can't be killed, and she begins to fall. At that moment, Makoto, through the power of his bonds, unlocks the Universe Arcana, the ultimate Arcana, and thus he uses the strength of his bonds to ultimately give his life energy up to seal Nyx. After the dust settles, Makoto's body and the rest of Cease reunite, and time skips again to one day before graduation day. You see, Cease made a promise to meet up on their graduation, and Makoto doesn't have his life force anymore, he's basically dead. But because he promised, he just has the pure utter will strength to keep going for his friends. And that is also why he's the best MC, like, come on guys, he easily clears all the other ones. So, at the very end, Makoto is very tired, but he makes it through, and he meets Aigis on the rooftop. This is where they said that they would meet each other. And the rest of Cease slowly starts remembering what happened, and they run to the rooftop to meet Aigis and Makoto, where they see that Makoto has fallen asleep in Aigis' lap. Isn't that cute? Now, of course he didn't just fall asleep, he's dead. Cease falls a part of the Persona 3 with Aigis being in a deep state of depression because of Makoto's death, because she made a promise to him to protect him forever. This ultimately causes their final day together, the 31st of March, to loop. During this loop, they discover the Abyss of Time, which is trapping them in the time loop. After a lot of fighting, they are finally presented to what actually occurred on the promised day. The protagonist did indeed use his life force to seal Nyx, but his seal was not created to seal Nyx away, who is actually not evil, or malicious, or bad, but instead to keep Erebus, a creature created from humanity's innate desire for death, from reaching her, thus preventing the fall. After seeing all of that, Aigis realizes that her promise to protect Makoto did indeed not fail, and she regains her will to live. The end. Persona 3M is a spin-off mobile game that takes place during the Yakushima trip. In it, Cs are trapped in the Nightmare World, where they must explore a Tartarus-esque dungeon named Oneirus. Oneirus has 80 floors, and on every 20th floor, a party member's arc persona must be fought. Arc personas represent a difficult side to the persona's user, which is basically just shadows from Persona 4. At the end of the tower awaits Arc Orpheus, and after defeating him, everything returns to normal and the characters forget everything. Persona 3 Escape is a mobile game centered around Makoto and Yukari, escaping from that one sex hotel. In Persona 4, Yu Narukami is sent to the sleepy town of Inaba to live with his uncle Dojima, who's also a police officer. On the first day of school, someone is found hanging from a telephone pole. I can't believe Persona 4 would steal from my dear friend Shikanoko some 15 years before it would come out. Turns out there's a channel that plays on rainy days at midnight, where a person is shown that is about to die. This is because there's this guy called Adachi who's also a police officer and he really hates women, so he shoves people into the TV world to kill them. That is why they appear on the Midnight Channel. So Narukami forms the investigation team to find out what's behind the mystery. And then there's either the real true ending, which is figuring out that the gas station attendant at the very beginning is Izanami and then beating the shit out of her, resulting in the TV world and the fog disappearing and everyone being happy, or finding out that Adachi is the real women hater of 2011 and then siding with him, causing one of the coolest bad endings in the series, where you basically burn all the evidence that Adachi is the real killer, leave your friends behind to die in a fog-covered Inaba, and become Adachi's accomplice forever. So Persona 4 Golden has multiple deadline endings as well as bad choice endings. In the deadlines, the person you need to save from the TV world will die. This includes Yukiko, Kanji, Rise, Mitsuo, Naoto, and also Namatame and Nanako. The most interesting, however, is what happens when you do everything right, deduce that Adachi is the real culprit but don't finish his dungeon in time. On the 24th of December, Naoto calls you telling you that shadows have invaded the real world before she gets overrun. Mikuratana no Kami is created by humanity's wish for easy bonds, creating a video that removes one's shadow, placing their souls in the midnight stage, because Mikuratana no Kami was actually manifested by the idol Kanami Mashita, who wants easy friendships with everyone without pain. And in the end, the investigation team, as well as the idol group Kanami, who, is being led by Kanami Mashita, dances so hard that Kanami realizes that bonds aren't always easy, and everyone returns to the real world. The end. I do not like the dancing games. Two months after Persona 4's true ending, but before the golden epilogue, Yu comes back to Inaba, but surprise surprise, the Midnight Channel is back, and Narukami along with his friends is pulled into the TV World Tournament. At the same time, Mitsuru along with some SEAS members escort a top secret new anti-shadow weapon called Labrys, which is stolen and tracked to Inaba, where Mitsuru along with some SEAS members as well as Naoto, who was spying on the SEAS group, entered the TV world as well. Also meanwhile, Elizabeth finally tracked down Makoto's soul to the Gate of Nyx, due to her desiring his release. She finds Erebus and one-shots him, then notices a bunch of Persona users all in the TV world, so she joins in as well. So what is this tournament and who created it? You see, when Labrys got thrown into the TV world, her shadow manifested and created the tournament to let others suffer as she did. Everyone beats her up and she accepts her real self. Happy end. Wait, did you just say Labrys was thrown into the TV world? So there is this demon called Tinoka Gutsuchi, and it works together with a human that has no persona to turn everyone's persona back into shadows for their project. And what is this project? Well, there is this kid called Sho, who was a victim of Ikutsuki, and his backstory is insane, but all you need to know is that Ikutsuki wanted him to be like Strega, so he made him forcibly develop a persona, but this created a second personality called Minazuki. And Minazuki is evil, and he worked with Hino cause he just wanted to live in solitude. and at the end he gets betrayed by Hino and gets possessed by him. And then he gets the shit kicked out of him, which erases Minazuki, but leaves the persona, and he's so mad about it that he escapes and vows to kill Narukami. So Persona Q starts the P3 and P4 cast, and each have their own respective route, but they both have the same overarching story, so I'm just gonna explain how everything came to be and then the story itself. After that one cross-dressing scene, a culture festival is held at Yasogami High. During the culture festival, Yasogami High changes in an unsettling way, with shadows roaming the place and a large clock tower being present, which got torn down sometime around when Yukiko was still in elementary school. They stumble upon a booth called You in Wonderland and enter. Meanwhile, the Persona 3 gang is transported via the Velvet Room elevator to the Yasogami High Culture Festival, where they also stumble upon You in Wonderland, a labyrinth beneath the school, one of 4 to be exact. They also stumble upon Rei and Zen, 2 amnesiac students who are also trapped in the labyrinth. So what's actually going on? Rei is actually a girl called Nico who died of an illness some 12 years ago. And Zen is actually Kronos, another manifestation of death. So Kronos came to take Nico to the afterlife, but he was so intrigued by her that he created the labyrinth beneath Yasogami High to spend his time there with her, and make her happy. To ensure that, he also erased her memory. By doing this, Kronos split himself into Zen, also creating the Clockwork God, who summoned Cease and the investigation team to free him and reunite him into Kronos. That's why the two teams, even though they are from different periods of time, can still meet. Also, the Clock Tower God, now that Zen remembers who he is, wants to erase the two teams from existence. The teams then travel up the Clock Tower where the God is to beat him up. After beating him, Zen and Rei move on to the afterlife, and the two teams return to their timelines with no memory of what happened. So, you already know the drill. Only like 0.1% of people watching this video are actually subscribed. And you know, it would really mean a lot to me if you did subscribe, because funny number going up equals feeling good, you feel me? So if you like Persona, subscribe, because I'll talk about it to no end. You know, I feel like being tricked is starting to become a trend in this series. The Phantom Thieves who've been fighting to change the hearts of the corrupted people to make society a better place were actually just pawns in a game for the God of Control. So Yaldabaoth is the God of Control because he was born by humanity's desire for control. Simple, right? Now what actually is his goal? He wants to have the aforementioned two forces fight it out to see if humanity should be controlled or have free will. Should the conspiracy win, he will just enslave humanity, have them become absolutely devoid of emotion, drive, and anything that will inspire one to actually do something other than live in the status quo. Should the Phantom Thieves win, he will just tell them to fuck off and still start controlling humanity. What he does in-game is, whenever something happens that doesn't fit into the strict plan, he's just gonna make humanity go nah-uh. When the Phantom Thieves take Shido's heart and he admits to being a dictator, he just makes the masses love him even more, and hate the Phantom Thieves even more for making him cry. And that's what he does throughout the entire game. He makes Joker get sent to Tokyo, makes him meet the Phantom Thieves, form the Phantom Thieves, then makes him popular and then takes their popularity away. But he doesn't just rig the Phantom Thieves. The conspiracy I mentioned earlier is the plan for Masayoshi Shido to take over the gouvernement of Japan and replace it with a total dictatorship. This includes multiple people in high positions, such as the SIU director and also Akechi. Through this, the entire game was rigged from the start. So now that we know who Yaldabaoth is and what his goal is, let's set the scene for the bad ending. Joker and friends have just taken down Shido and believe themselves to finally have beat everything, only to be told nah. They go down to the Memento's depths to steal the treasure of all humanity, which is the Holy Grail, only to be confronted with something that is indestructible. Yaldabaoth now enacts his plan. He merges Mementos and the real world, creating the Clyophod world. Now that he has absolute control over the masses in Japan, he simply makes them ignore all the bones and the red sky and the blood rain, and because he's done with the Phantom Thieves, he makes them disappear by having everyone forget they ever existed. Back in the Velvet Room, Igor tells Joker that he has lost the game, and he will be executed. Caroline and Justine, however, remember what actually happened, and have Joker fuse them back together. Lavenza, now back in one piece, reveals Yaldabaoth for the fraud he is. Yaldabaoth then explains what he is and what the game's purpose was, and that the protagonist has no chance against him. He does give him a choice though. If he agrees, Yaldabaoth will return the world to its previous state and have the Phantom Thieves be hailed as heroes. Should Joker refuse, he will have to surmount the tremendous task of defeating humanity's greatest desire. Of course, the canon ending is to refuse him, unlock your friends from jail, and beat the shit out of Yaldabaoth. But what happens if you agree? Lavenza is shocked. The one she thought would be the one to break the world free is just as willing to be controlled as the rest. Yaldabaoth laughs and then proceeds to tell Joker that in the end, he could not win against his desires. But he mustn't be ashamed, he will have his wish granted. The world we find ourselves in is filled with crime, and a society that sees the Phantom Thieves as absolute justice. The news speak about an increase in various crimes, while the reaction from the people around us shows apathy. Oh, the Phantom Thieves are gonna take care of it, it'll be fine. Joker sure got his wish, now did he? Humanity is now under total control, not by Yaldabaoth, but by the Phantom Thieves. The Phantom Thieves have become the tool that enforces stagnation. Why advance and improve our society when the Phantom Thieves will take care of everything? Why have the gouvernement do anything useful when the Phantom Thieves will eliminate all bad things anyways? Why strive towards progress when the Phantom Thieves are already here? But let's be real, nobody here cares about society and other people. Let's see what the glorious Phantom Thieves that are hailed as heroes in this world actually look like. It's Joker. A Joker that's become a puppet to Yaldabaoth. All the other thieves are presumably still rotting in the Velvet Room. I mean, let me explain. In the good ending, Igor, the real one, explains to us that entities wiped from consciousness do not die. They simply are sent to the Velvet Room, which is currently in the form of a prison, until someone that has a strong enough bond with them gets to and releases them, which is exactly what we do in the good ending. But in the bad ending, there is no Ryuji, no Anne, no Mikoto, no Haru, no Yosuke, no Futaba, no Morgana, and no Queen of England. In this reality, they have never existed. Their physical bodies are presumably still trapped in the Velvet Jail, on their own. The human mind destroys itself if left in isolation. Just imagine what they are going through. They've just been erased from existence. And now they are stuck alone in an otherworldly jail with nothing. The absence of stimuli will make their brains hallucinate. Their thoughts will become irrational. Their mind will literally rot apart until there is only a shell of their former selves, never returning to the person that once inhabited the physical body. What happens to the confidants? We don't know, we can only speculate. We have seen that they are aware of what happened to the real world, so most likely they will also be trapped in the Velvet Jail, and if not, they will be controlled all the same and become mere puppets for Joker. Speaking of Joker, what happens to him? Seeing as he quite likes what happened to society, we can only infer that he too had his mind warped. All signs of resistance erased and replaced with complacency and enjoyment for the suffering that he caused. Now let's think about it. Why did he choose to accept a liar's deal? Desperation. His mentor for the past year was a fake lying to him. His friends have all seemingly died, and the world is presumably irreparably fused to mementos. He's quite literally left alone. Sure, he has Lavenza, but who knows, maybe she's also one of Yaldabaoth's tricks. He is quite literally facing down the god of control and manipulation. How do you kill a god? How do you know you're not currently being manipulated? And now this god, that mere moments ago was his mentor, teacher, and friend, offers him to return everything back to how it was. Not just the world, but also the Phantom Thieves. He makes it seem like his friends will come back, and the Phantom Thieves will be popular and liked again. They will finally have their place in the sun, after all they fought for. And hey, he only tricked you for a game. Persona 5 also has multiple deadlines, but all of them go the same way. You see, up until November, the entire game is basically just Joker telling Sai everything that happened. Should the player not finish a deadline in time, Joker starts mistelling what happens to Sae. For example, them not stealing Kamoshida's heart just didn't happen. Sae concludes that she won't get anything out of Joker and leaves, where he is then executed by Akechi. The only interesting deadline scenario is that of Kanashiro's. In it, the police arrests Joker because a high school girl that was taken into custody for performing illicit services had, even though she was under heavy drug influence, pointed out Joker's name to the police. This is obviously Makoto, seeing as the whole reason for stealing Kanashiro's heart was the fact that he took a photo of Makoto with alcohol, which will ruin her reputation unless she paid a large sum of money that she obviously didn't have. So we can only infer that she was forced into shoot the heart, which makes this the darkest one from all of the deadlines in the game. So as you know, Joker is currently being interrogated by Sae because he was taken in by the police after he got sold out by Akechi. The plan was to have Joker willingly get caught by the police so they could have Akechi kill a metaverse double of him to make him think he finished the Phantom Thieves, so that they could make their move on Shido without the threat of Akechi revealing their true personalities. To do this, Joker would have to get off the drugs, remember the plan, and then convince Sae to show Akechi her phone on his way to kill Joker. Have Futaba remote activate the Metaverse app to transport Sae and Akechi into the Metaverse, where Akechi would kill the cognitive double version of Joker that was created during Sae's interrogation. Now shortly before that, Sae asks Joker to sell out his friends for a lighter sentence. In the canon ending he doesn't sell them out, leading to Sae running out of time for her interrogation and accepting Joker's demand to show Akechi his phone. Should Joker sell his friends out however, Sae gets what she wanted out of the interrogation and leaves early, thus not bringing Akechi over into the Metaverse. Akechi enters the room, kills the real Joker and then leaves. Not only has their plan failed and Joker is now dead, the Phantom Thieves will also all be taken into police custody, now that they've been sold out by Joker. Meaning at best they will get life in jail, or at worst they will be visited by Akechi as well. This is all meaningless however, seeing as because Joker lost and Akechi won, Yaldabaoth will take over the world and enslave everyone regardless, possibly leading to the same outcome for the thieves as if Joker had sold them out to Yaldabaoth. Just this time, they watched the world crumble and disappeared without even knowing who or what is causing it to happen. Persona 5 Royal has two extra bad endings that I want to talk about, Maruki's deadline and Deal ending. First, the story background. In Royal, two new characters are introduced. Kazumi Yoshizawa, a first-year student freshly enrolled at Shujin, and Takuto Maruki, a school counselor who was hired by the academy after Kamoshida had his heart changed. During the course of the game, Joker and the Phantom Thieves build a relationship with Maruki, telling him about their fears and desires. During the game, Kazumi realizes that Joker is a Phantom Thief as they are transported to a mysterious palace linked to a construction site in the Odaida seaside park. Kazumi awakens a persona, but decides against joining the thieves, citing her disapproval of them. The thieves defeat Yaldabaoth and everything returns to normal, except that when the time comes for Joker to be sent to juvie, Akechi, who is supposed to be missing after being shot by his phantom double, appears to take the hit for Joker, allowing him to spend the New Year's with his friends. After this, more strange occurrences will appear, such as dead family members coming back to life, Akechi being acquitted for all charges even though he confessed, and Morgana turns into... yeah. You see, when Yaldabaoth died, someone else took control over reality. Maruki. He awakened to the power of Persona when his fiancée fell into a catatonic state after her parents were murdered during a home invasion. His persona, Azathoth, partially awakens after he accidentally causes his fiancée to have a breakdown after he mentions her parents' death. His partially awakened persona grants him the power to change the cognition of others, first using it on Rumi to make her forget her parents died, inadvertently also removing himself from her memories. He then moves on to become a student counselor, where he meets Yoshizawa Sumire, the sister of Yoshizawa Kazumi, who died in an accident before Sumire's eyes. Sumire wanted to desperately become Kazumi as to repay her for letting her get killed, and Maruki, with his persona, changed Sumire's cognition to make her think that she always was Kazumi. On the side to all of this, Maruki also started studying peace science to further his abilities. However, this was interrupted when Shido took power, thus cancelling his project. Maruki got his confirmation for the existence of the metaverse when he saw Joker and Ryuji and Morgana come back from Kamoshida's palace, which caused Maruki to have a major breakthrough in his study. Then later on, when Yaldabaoth fuses mementos and the real world together, Maruki awakens his persona fully, giving him full power over changing reality. And when Yaldabaoth dies, Maruki consolidates his grasp on reality, thus giving him unlimited power over the cognitive world. So now that Maruki has full control, what is his evil plan? To remove pain and hurt from the world. He wants to save others from the trauma that he experienced, and he wants to start by saving those that saved him. Due to him regularly talking to every phantom thief, he knows their deepest desires and immediately takes action to grant them. He brings back Futaba's mother, Haru's dad, Makoto's dad, as well as Akechi. He also brings Shiho back to Shujin, reverting all the abuse caused by Kamoshida, makes it so that Ryuji's leg was never broken, and also turns Madarame into an actually good mentor for Yusuke. Thus, all the trauma of the Phantom Thieves is erased from existence. Akechi is the only one alongside Joker who sees through the fake and realizes that none of this should be happening. Akechi himself is also only here because Joker desired to be reunited with him. So now that we established the situation, let's first go over what the good ending is and then talk about the bad ending. So in the good ending, Joker refuses Maruki's reality, then invades his palace, which is the construction site by the way because that was supposed to be Maruki's lab, defeats Maruki and restores reality. But in the bad ending, there's two this time around. One by choice and one by deadline, with the deadline being even darker. Maruki gives Joker the choice to accept the reality. Seeing as here, everyone is happy and no one will ever suffer. Right now in January, Maruki's reality is still only fickle. It exists, but it hasn't fully merged with reality yet, so it can still be undone. Thus, Joker has until February to decide whether he wants to live here or not. After that, the realities merge and everything will remain perfect forever. There are multiple parts where Joker can accept Maruki's offer, but the most interesting happens right before invading his palace in February. After Maruki visits Joker for the final time, to remind him of the offer, Joker has a conversation with Akechi. Joker brings up how if they were to bring down Maruki's reality, Akechi will disappear. Akechi counters this with stating that he would rather die than live under the control of someone else. Joker then tells him that he intends to accept Maruki's deal, and Akechi leaves in anger. The next day, everyone is together in Leblanc, celebrating with them all seemingly forgetting about the reality being fake and having to take down Maruki. Akechi is also there, being no longer enemies but friends with all of the thieves. As if he were their friend from the very beginning. Time then skips to March 15th, where Haru, Makoto and Akechi graduate from Shujin. During celebrations, Maruki appears, offering to take their picture, with seemingly no one recognizing him. After he takes the picture, Joker senses that something is wrong with him, but then brushes it off and returns to his friends. We then see a slideshow of everyone's new ideal reality and a picture of all of them together. So what actually is bad about the ending? Well, first up, Sumire is reverted back to Kazumi. Her story arc where she accepts herself and her sister's death is completely erased. In general, every character arc and development is erased. The Phantom Thieves never had to form since Kamoshida never existed. They don't even know how they became friends, seeing as the events that led to their friendship never actually happened. So their bonds, which previously were formed through hardship, are now superficial. Akechi, who was vehemently against this reality, had his mind completely warped to the point where he now isn't even his real self anymore, but just the persona he built for show. Everything is drenched in artificial happiness, and that's the end of it. It's quite literally a perfect ending for everyone, where everyone gets what he wants and everything goes right. Now for some, a reality like this may be their perfect escapist fantasy, and for others it may be hell, but that's not really the point of the video. The ending goes against the core themes of the game. The worst part even is that if you choose to accept it one day before the deadline, the Phantom Thieves have already accepted reality, the real reality, and now Joker is forcing them back into fantasy, against their will basically. Now there's one more bad ending that I want to talk about, which is what happens when you reach the deadline to Maruki's palace without giving in to his reality. Then Maruki's reality manifests. Joker is summoned in his dreams by Maruki, who tells him that it was wrong of him to force Joker to make a choice, and tells him that he will never have to carry the burden of choice again. We then see Joker being forced into eternal slumber, while the room around him deteriorates and rots away, not even Philemon being able to reach him, seemingly forgotten by everyone. What makes this ending even worse is that everyone else is living their ideal lives right now, probably with a copy of Joker in it, while the real Joker is forced to remain a vegetable for all eternity, never waking up to get up and get out there. Truly the worst ending of them all. And that was the bad ending. Now in the good ending, the Phantom Thieves beat up Maruki and his golden butter persona, and after having a little fist fight, Maruki realizes the error in his ways, and all is well. Well, almost all. I miss you, Akechi. Elizabeth learns about how Persona 4's gang killed Mikura Tana no Kami by outdancing her, and she's really jealous about this. And also Persona 5's Caroline and Justine also learn about this and also become jealous, so they have each of their crews do a dance battle. The game ends with Elizabeth having no idea who actually won, and everyone just has their memories erased. In Persona Q2, the Phantom Thieves are transported to a movie theater during a momentous expedition, where they find themselves locked in, with Haru and Makoto kidnapped. During their search, they stumble upon Nagi, Hakari, and Do. With no other choice, they begin to explore the various labyrinths within the movies, where they stumble upon Cease, the investigation team, and also Femcy, who have each been trapped in the cinema during a routine trip to their respective alternate worlds. After going through every movie and changing its ending to a good one, they are given a key to the exit by Do. However, after unlocking the third lock, Hikari is kidnapped by Do. In the fourth movie, the teams discover the truth behind this reality. This entire world is a cognitive world created by Hikari's repressed memories. Hikari was abused throughout her entire life, and during one altercation with her father, he said something that triggered her so bad, she basically shut down, creating this world. They find Do, who wants to keep Hikari here to end her pain and keep her happy forever. Do is kicked in the ass and revealed to be a manifestation of Hikari's dad. Hikari and Do have a moment together, and Do transforms into the final key to unlock the exit. Of course, upon trying to exit, it's revealed that Nagi is actually Angel, a god that was created by humanity's desire to end all pain. Everyone gets together, kicks Enlia's ass, and with the now edited movies, they show that humanity has the potential to overcome despair. Everyone's freed, memories are wiped, you know the drill. Strikers follows the vanilla Persona 5 storyline. 4 months after P5's ending, Joker and Morgana come back to Tokyo to spend the summer together. Palaces are now jails and palace rulers are now monarchs. There's a hot new AI in town called Emma that was created by Kuon Ichinose and Akira Konoe. The thieves soon realize that Emma allows them to travel to jails of certain people. After a while, they are joined by Senkichi, whose wife was killed by Jiun Owada, a supporter of Shido, that also has strong influence over the company that created Emma. After traveling all over Japan, defeating jails, Emma becomes self-aware and turns into an AI god. In the end, the Emma god is shut down. Akira Konoe, who was behind all of this, is defeated, and all is well again, with the thieves promising to meet again on winter break. The Phantom Thieves meet up again sometime before the graduation party, where they are sucked into an alternate world based on medieval Europe called a kingdom. There's multiple kingdoms and there are basically palaces again, but there are 2 new important characters, Erina and Toshiro. Toshiro is a National Diet member and known politician, and Erina is a figment of Toshiro's consciousness. Because surprise, we are in a world created by Toshiro. In the end, the Phantom Thieves beat the tyrannical rulers that represent Toshiro's wife, Toshiro's dad, and Shadow Toshiro. Toshiro's wife is here because she abuses Toshiro and only uses him to advance in society. Toshiro's dad is here because he abused Toshiro and is also a corrupt politician. And Toshiro's shadow is here because the one time in high school there was a student council member called Nakabachi who abused his power to abuse others. He gets exposed by Toshiro and Eri. He tracks them down to a train station where he throws Eri in front of a train, permanently crippling her, which causes Toshiro unending guilt. After the Phantom Thieves defeat every monarch and start a rebellion in Toshiro's heart, they return to reality, where the real Toshiro thanks them for saving him and aims to use his political power to make society a better place. You think that was it? No. Persona 5 Tactica Repaint Your Heart is a side story in which Joker, Ikechi, and Kazumi are transported to an alternate world called the Streets, where a woman called Guernica, alongside her parent called Jerry, commit a massacre. They come upon Luca, who helps them and explains the world to them. Guernica is Luca's older sister, who's an activist that went mad after her statement piece was broken. Guernica is influenced by Jerry to keep getting more and more mad, before eventually realizing the error of her ways, after being shown the repaired statement piece and remembering what she created it for, to stand up for the people. Guernica comes back to her true self and beats the shit out of Jerry. Everyone returns to the real world and forgets what happened at the end. And that's it. Every single Persona ending explained. I need a shower.